Go ahead.
Good morning and welcome. It's good to see everyone today on our final episode of the year, episode number 41 of Business Unusual. And today we're going to be talking all about growth strategies for 2021. I'm Brendan Filbert, managing partner with SalesWorks, and my job all day, every day is helping people get in front of their next opportunity, whether that is their perfect prospect that they want to serve in their business or their next career opportunity. And we're delighted to have you with us today, and I'm excited to have Chris introduce himself.
I'm Chris Motley, owner. I'm the big fish of Motley Creations, where we make you look good. So what does that mean?
Yes.
We help small and medium-sized businesses with big goals, which means we help find right-sized solutions and execute on your marketing strategy and develop the brand and image you need to have. So thanks for coming out today.
Awesome. And we have a lot of ground that we're going to cover. And Chris and I, how we like to present is you're actually going to have a little bit of a conversation between the two of us where we talk about a point and then we kind of bring the perspective of sales and marketing together, because they are flip sides of the revenue coin. And you have to make sure that everything that you're doing with your sales and marketing effort truly is cohesive. Because otherwise we end up with one effort out here that's supposed to generate leads for a team over here to follow up on, and the team over here has access to information and insights that this team should know about, but they often don't ever connect or they don't ever talk. And then if marketing over here knew what tools were needed by sales, they could be a lot more effective about building it so that there was a comprehensive strategy and approach. And that's what Chris and I bring to you. It's that view that's more global in perspective about generating revenue. And I am pretty excited. We're going to dive in to our presentation. I am going to go ahead. I've had some crazy stuff going on with my webcam today, so I'm going to kill that part of it so I'm not sucking up bandwidth. But now let's really dive into who is our presentation for today, because it seems as if we're all kind of in this mode of what on earth are we supposed to be doing? Where are we supposed to go? How are we supposed to respond to everything that's happening right now? So our PG version of this is, WTH happened. I think there's a few of us that could probably change that one up just a little bit based on what's happening in your own business.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to give you information about what you should do with this in 2021 and moving forward in your own prospecting strategy. Now, Chris actually has a perspective to bring that I want to have him run with, because I think when big marketing decisions are made, we have a tendency to think that we should focus on big moves and going with big initiatives. And if little is good, then more is better. And I want him to share why when you come into the session today, we need you thinking about slight improvements. Chris?
Exactly. And this comes from a book that I read a couple years ago that I really love. And people have this attitude of, the book's called The 1% Difference. And people are like, why bother? How could I make a difference with just changing 1%? And that's a great question. So it's written by Marie and Kelly Lyons. It's about a troubled distribution company and their sales team. And they're a low margin, low return business, and this book isn't about financials. It's not an accounting book. It's about how companies make money and generate profit. So it's the 1% difference, small change, big impact. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. And just to sum up some stuff that they have, and don't worry, this isn't a big, long, drawn out, monotone math presentation. You can come back to this and look at it later, but these are actual little snippets from the book itself. And, if you just increase the volume of sales 1%, right? And there's the before and after numbers. That's 1% brings an 18.3% change on pre-tax income. If you reduce expenses by just 1%, that changes pre-tax income by 20.4%, and that's a pretty good margin of growth. I mean, that's on my company. I was watching that in the beginning years, and I wanted to get at least 25% growth, which is difficult to do after or to sustain. And so these are great numbers. And then the next slide, I want to change some preconceived notions. So if we can go ahead and move forward. So a lot of people think, and we were talking, what was this? Oh, it was on a different webinar on Thursday. We're talking to some people, and
about building your offer,
right,
and creating promotional offers
and price reductions and things like that. And so this is what I want you to understand. See, if you lower your sale price in the left-hand chart, this has before and after, you change your pre-tax income by 67%. It's horrible. Now, what does that do to you? So if you look at gross profit with a price reduction, so you can see in the top part, it says gross profit with price reduction. Underneath that is gross profit dollars before price reduction. So their sale price was $100. It cost them $80 to do it, and then the profit was $20. So if you reduce it by $10, go on sale, so it's $90. Cost is still $80, and so you only make $10. Then so that means you have to do 100% additional volume to get the same gross profit. So in short term, it's twice as much work, right? So what I want you to look at here is the big picture. So and these are all taken from the book. So sales increased by 2%, margins improved by 0.5%, expenses down by 1.3%, and cost of goods sold reduced by 0.3%. Those are small, tiny improvements, and the profitability went up by 125%. That's huge. So what we're trying to convey on this is you don't need to look at knocking it out of the park, right? And this should be a company-wide attitude that you take on, is let's figure out how we change this just a little bit, and it shows up. It shows up hugely in the next year's bottom line. So I'll give it back to you, Brandon.
So now, as we're thinking about this, I want you to look at what you can do to innovate, what you can do to reduce, of course, your cost of acquisition of a client. So we're going to be talking to you about how do you be more effective with all of your lead generation strategies, and how do you measure and how do you manage those? Because what we are learning, and we did one of these sessions on conducting A/B testing in your marketing and sales effort. And if you have not listened to that one, I encourage you to go back and listen to it. When I send out the recording link for this session today, I'll also include that one, because it's really important that you view what you have done and identify where you have found success, and then experiment and improve and focus on it with, again, slight shifts. Don't look for wholesale changes. If you're looking at putting together email campaigns, think about it more like you're going to test a subject line and you're going to test an image. So you test one thing and then you improve it. Well, the same thing applies to your networking and to your proposals. And there's any number of ways that you're going to pull this insight into your own effort. But the first place is we always go back to where we've been, because truly success leaves clues, as my partner Chris says. So what I want to do right now, and this is going to be your first opportunity to chat in, is I want to know, what do you need to focus on for 2021? Do you need to focus on adding more leads into your funnel, or do you need to focus on improving the process to convert more of what you get in front of? So take just a minute and chat, or use the questions pane and respond, and let me know with, are you A, looking for more leads, or B, looking to convert more opportunities? So let's hear from everybody where you're at. take just a second.
A lot of more leads.
Okay.
And these two questions are really good for planning next year too. It may be, that what you need to do is reduce cost of goods sold or something like that. So use this. This is good for planning anything. We got a lot of people looking for more leads, some looking for both. More conversions, yeah.
Okay. Okay,
Looks like more
fantastic.
leads, yeah.
Okay, but a lot of it on the more leads. All right. So what I want you to think about, and I just want to share just some basic insight that I have experienced from just if you're thinking about putting together a campaign, you should be converting. If it is a cold marketing campaign, it's typically, I don't know, I think Chris, you and I were talking about this. It's like 1 to 5% of the leads that are in there with a cold marketing campaign. And that's if you send out an ad campaign via Facebook or LinkedIn and those people respond, those folks that are responding, you should end up closing about 1% of. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have referrals. And if you are getting referred to someone, then you should be in the 50 to 90% closing range
it goes way
on referrals. So from that spectrum, how are you finding leads right now? Are they coming in via referrals and introductions? Is it via networking? Are you purchasing leads? Let's just hear where you all are finding business right now.
Or you may have, because of COVID and things like that and social distancing, your normal methods, for instance, networking events, maybe just gone, and maybe you don't know where you are or what to do next. Referrals on Google, referral partners. Referral partners is a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing.
Okay, so then the next question is, if you think back on your last opportunities that you have closed. So, and actually there's two aspects to this. The question that I have for you, and this is a summary, we're not going to be able to dive as deep into it today because Chris and I are going to be talking about planning at a high level. But do you know how many prospects you need in order to reach your sales goals? Do you know how many leads need to come in your funnel? How many of those leads need to convert to opportunities? How many of those opportunities need to convert to proposals and proposals to closes? Do you know that math?
You know your success rates on that kind of thing. Sorry, Freudian slip there. Yeah, you have a formula. So there's people. Some people have a formula, some people don't, and it's this is. I always find like between Christmas and New Year's is a good time for me to start looking through the numbers and things like that, and kind of come up with, okay, I got this many leads from this place, and I closed X amount, right, and start averaging that. So if without that, you're like a dog on linoleum. There's just a bunch of activity. You need to be able to plan the amount of work you put in.
So what you need to think about are how many leads are you going to need in order to reach your goals? And it's leads, and then you think through the entire conversion process and what are your percentages and what people will drop out of that funnel as they go through. And then what I want you to do is, if you haven't done it already, you need to have a CRM, because a CRM allows you to create dashboards to track where your solution is and where you may be falling short. Because when we talk about refining things, it's that 1% that Chris was talking about earlier. Think about it, if you become 1% better at converting leads and your average sale may put $3,000 in your pocket, it doesn't take very many shifts, and you focus on slight incremental improvement, at the end of the year, you're going to look up and you're going to be someplace pretty amazing. So it's important that you think through every aspect of this. And I want you to go into 2021 with the emphasis on getting better at what you are already doing. And then if you add new, be very strategic and careful about how you do it. And that you do give it the full effort that you need to in order for it to be successful. Because the mistake that Chris and I see so often is, for instance, they'll try a new strategy with sending weekly emails, and they'll send weekly emails for 2 months and say, well, I didn't sell anything, or it didn't generate any appointments. And the key is there's a lot of these efforts that take 3 to 6 months before you are going to see an uptick in your audience engagement. And then from the audience engagement, that then converts to conversations that turn into opportunities, that turn into proposals, that turn into closes. So, but if you quit too soon, you're like that miner that walks away when they're 6 inches away from striking gold. So that's the focus that we want you thinking about as we are moving into 2021. Okay, so CRM, do I recommend? I love Nimble, okay? And I'm not an affiliate of Nimble. I'm not being paid to say that. There are a ton of other programs out there that we could be affiliates for, but Nimble, I think, is absolutely hands down one of the best. It's intuitive, it's easy, and it plays well with the other marketing solutions that you will probably want to engage as you are expanding your marketing effort in 2021. So if you do not have, and please, if you've got a CRM that you absolutely adore, then by all means share it in the questions pane, because there are just some really cool options out there. Nimble is a very low cost. I think it's $12 a month, and it's cloud-based. And then I know there are a bunch of free ones. HubSpot has a free one. Salesforce has a free one. Zoho. Those are just a couple of free examples. I don't think they're quite as fun or intuitive as the Nimble is. And I love Nimble because Nimble actually coordinates with all social profiles of your prospects as well, which is very cool.
And it's not a one size fits all, and it depends on your company size, what you do, what computer systems you have, things like that. So, like she said, if you have one that you think works well for your company, please share it in the questions pane and send it to all so that that people can find out.
All right. So now, what the first places that you want to start when you are identifying what channels you need to focus on improving for 2021 is following the theme of success leaves clues. You are going to review what business came in that you closed. And there's a couple of different things that I want you looking at here. So I want you looking at what produced the most in terms of revenue. And then remember, we're focusing on improvements. Also assess the introductions that were made, because if you have someone that's introducing you to a ton of people and that business isn't closing, well, that's a function of a couple of different potential issues. One of them is they just may not have access to the audience that you are pursuing. The other side of it is they may not be communicating your message appropriately, or you may not be communicating your message in order to engage prospects that are in the right spot in their life or their business in order to get to you. So you need to really look at that. And that's why it's so important for you to have a CRM, because otherwise so much of this is just anecdotal. And it's based on more recent history than it is historical averages. So it's really important for you to look at that. So think about, the first question is, what lead sources produced the most for you? And by lead sources, this may be Google search. It may be purchasing leads from whatever services there are out there. I mean, there's tons of them out there right now that you can buy leads from. It may be conferences or associations. It's really been interesting how associations have kicked into high gear for us this year, in spite of the fact that so many of the meetings have gone virtual. So I certainly encourage you to consider all avenues for how business can come to you. What has produced the most for you? Go ahead and chat in with that if you would, using the questions pane.
It's funny that you say that about associations and things. Like the Women's Business Center gets us leads from Israel, for goodness sake. It's our reach is grown exponentially. And I think it's because everything has changed. So people are looking for online kind of connections and things more than they used to.
Well, I know we've got one of my clients on the call that has his first deal that he's working with in Michigan, I believe it is, and he's always worked in the Kansas City area before.
Right.
So I know many of us may have had our territory that has greatly expanded with this.
Right.
So, but what have been the relationships that have produced the most for you?
It's like repeat clients. A lot of people are. So it's basically
fantastic.
Yeah, referrals.
So you're leveraging that first source of referrals that is of critical importance, and that is clients first. So client referrals should always be the lifeblood of finding where your next opportunity comes from. It's people that have worked with you in the past. And I know I have people on this call as well. Let me just share that one of my clients, actually, she may even be on the call, related that some of her biggest projects coming up in this coming year are from previous coworkers in jobs that she had years ago that she's remained in contact with via LinkedIn and included in her weekly emails that she sends out. So there's it's those previous relationships, people that know you, they trust you, they respect your capabilities, and they like you, and they want to contribute to your success. That's always one of the first places that we want to look for business. And then if you need access to more leads beyond that, you can be just more strategic about identifying, okay, so if financial planners are a great source, then I need to find a few more financial advisors that I can serve their clients, and I need to offer content or resources to them that help them be better at their job and also makes it super easy for them to introduce me. Okay, so you've looked at this. Now, are there introductions and referrals that you're receiving that you need to be just a little bit better about closing? That's something else I want you thinking about as we're moving forward with our conversation. And then identify what has been the highest performing lead source for you. And highest performing is not just a function of the number of leads that have come your way. In a lot of cases, I've got a gentleman that may only send me 2 introductions a year, but those 2 introductions are to huge prospects or associations or groups that bring me multiple opportunities with a very high close rate. And that one person is one I'm going to make sure that I pay attention to, because the quality of prospect that he has access to, he's an attorney, his level of influence with them, my sales cycle is literally measured in 30 minutes to really big opportunities. So that's another performance indicator. And then the value of those introductions, many of them close, and they're wonderful people that I enjoy working with. He does a great job of setting expectations about what the relationship's about. And that's what makes him a high performing lead source or referral source. So that's what I want you thinking about.
Really quick before we go on, it seems like I just did the math really quick, and it's only about 30% of the people have said that they get it from their current clients, get referrals and things. And so the people who maybe you just didn't want to respond, but I want to tell you right now, an easy way to do this, or way to frame it up, is you talk to your clients and go, why did you hire me? And they tell you, and you go, okay, what did you find? Well, you do an excellent job. Your prices are fair. You're a professional. Then you go, okay, well, who else do you know that needs somebody who's does a professional job, whose prices are fair, and and on and on. It's an easy conversation to get into. Sometimes we have head trash that tells us we shouldn't ask for more, and you got to get over that right now. Right now.
And we also did an episode of this webinar series on creating client referral rewards program. So if clients are not producing a significant amount of introductions, then there's something there that you should definitely go look at. And that we've got some really good information that was shared there about what works across several different industries, with some ideas about how you create them and how you reward them. So you want to go check out our YouTube channel. We've got some really fun content over there. But that's absolutely correct, and that needs to be that initial, the foundation of where all of your leads are coming from. It needs to be the client referrals. Okay. So now the question that I have is, who is your perfect target audience for 2021? Who do you most want to serve? So have you really sat down and thought about who your perfect client will be, and why are they going to be your perfect client in 2021? So are you clear on that yet? Go ahead and chat in with the questions. You know who that audience is that you're after. It's clear, it's vivid. You can see yourself serving them. You know who they look like. Yes, or are you still in the, I just want to find somebody that has money and that'll hire me?
Some of them are very clear, yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. The more clear you can be about who that perfect audience is, even to the extent of finding one of your clients that you worked with in 2020, and then having their picture up with all of your marketing and planning that you're doing in 2021, because the narrower your profile is in that segment, the easier it is for you to construct your campaigns to reach them. So it helps you ask some of those key questions. Where are they hanging out on social media? What are their significant challenges that they deal with? What are the pain points? What are some of the best avenues for you to reach and connect with them? And most importantly, where are you going to be able to provide value to them? And these are all key questions for you to ask about that target audience, and it's one of the most important steps for you to take with your planning for next year, is get super specific and narrow and identify who that person is that you want to serve, and then answer these key questions.
So one of the things that we like to tell people is that what Brendan is talking about is your ideal customer avatar,
ICA.
Yeah. So, and what that is there's companies out there that I know that actually sit down and name that person, and that they're a 38 to 42-year-old female with 3 kids and and they find a picture online, they name her, right? And they actually change it every year. They'll change that person just a little bit, and they if you have that in your head, then you know exactly where they hang out and what social medias. You know exactly what changes are happening to them. All these questions that Brendan has put out here for you are so important. And without that ideal customer avatar, yeah,
Yep.
it makes it really difficult. So I if nothing else, get these questions down and then put ICA in the corner, and you need to figure out who that is, like yesterday.
All right, now that we've talked about who we want to serve, let's talk about how we are going to go get them. So the first thing that I want you to think about is, within your current referral relationships, those current partnerships, whether they are resource partners. And we've got a lot of episodes out there, Chris, don't we?
Yeah.
We did one on nothing but referral partnerships, and referral partnerships tend to fit into a few different buckets. So they are people that you need in the course of serving your clients. So it's potentially a little bit of a one-way street, but they help add value to your service and create a better client experience. So that's why they're important relationships for you. And those are what we call referral or resource partners. And then we have other relationships that are mutual, where it's a case of you truly can collaborate, you can hunt together. Chris and I, when we started this webinar series, it was based on both of us wanting to serve small businesses, independent sales professionals, transitioning business leaders who are trying to figure out how they're going to secure their next gig. We had that same audience, and we wanted to help that exact same audience. So it made sense for us to team up and serve that audience together. He and I are both out hustling our own entities and our own businesses, but we collaborate on more than we don't collaborate.
Right.
So that's what you need to think about with some of your relationships. Some of them are you just send business out and it doesn't come back. Others, you collaborate, and there's other relationships that maybe you are the beneficiary of that one-way street, where people send you opportunities. For instance, that attorney that I mentioned earlier, he's in the environmental space and he works in the energy sector with really big companies. And I'm not normally in a position to refer him to other people that are in that space. So it's one of those cases of I'm not in a position to be able to reciprocate, but I can help him in a lot of other ways. So I add value to his service and his solution and his relationship base to help all of the people that send him work be a lot more effective about how they do it, because he really doesn't like chasing and selling. He would much rather have all of the opportunities pre-qualified and closed before he ever talks to them. And he knows that that's what I teach people how to do. So he serves me up a whole lot of opportunities that are pretty incredible because of that.
And think about it, that makes him more effective to his network, right? Brendan makes him look better to his network. So, and it's the same with Brendan and I working together, is that it makes my company bigger than it was before. Number one, I have an outside salesperson, right? That an unpaid, but actually it's not. Brendan can make money from referrals that I give back to her. Right?
Absolutely.
And Brendan now has conversations with people, and it may be that to do what she wants them to do, they need to have a website or whatever, some kind of marketing messaging thing. And she can, instead of trying to weed through all that, she can send it to me. So it makes her more effective at her job, which makes her more valuable.
I have a better outcome when I partner with Chris.
Right.
The clients have a better experience. They're able to do their homework and get it done and get results faster. So that's what makes the first question that I want you to do right now is I want you to make a list of all of your current referral partners. And there's some of this that you may want to just jot down that you are going to do this afternoon or perhaps over the holiday weekend. But I want you to make that list of all of those lead sources and then think about how you are going to serve them well. And that's your current partnerships. So that's the first area. Then the next thing is it's really good for you at this time of year to go back and look at all of your new business that you won. And then those clients that you served, you are going to identify other professionals that stand beside you within that client relationship. So for example, Chris and I were working with a company this year that we identified needed to add analytic systems and more accountability and structure, especially around their CRM and accounting. And they needed all their technology solutions to talk to each other. And we identified a new partnership that we've been able to expand that has been game changing within that one client, as well as it's introducing us to a lot more opportunity that they can refer us into as well, because they have benefited on the other side from seeing the work that we are doing within that company. So I want you to think about, who do you need to add to your current service offering to bring a more comprehensive solution. So for example, I'm going to use recruiting as an example here, because I know I've got a couple of folks on the call that are in that space. So if you are in recruiting and you are working with a company that is having a hard time attracting the top talent that they need in order to be effective in what they're doing, well, then, it's a case of, you're not going to be able to hire people. Even though you can bring candidates, you're not going to be able to hire them, because they're not competitive with their compensation or potentially with their benefit offerings. So an easy new partnership for you to add is someone that focuses on that HR and compensation piece. And then potentially, if you're hiring people that aren't sticking, so if they're there for a year but they're not there for 2 years or 5 years, then perhaps you need to introduce them to someone that can focus on improving the culture and making them a more fun place to work. So those are new partnerships that you would need to think about adding, because it makes your service better. And also, when you add the right partners, those people are also able to help you by bringing you opportunities, clients. Perhaps it's collaboration, joint marketing. There's so many benefits to adding partnerships.
Right. And it's think of it, in my case, I think of it as a three-legged stool, right? And that's just the top level. As for me, it's marketing, advertising, and sales. But under sales is there's sales training, and then there's prospecting. Under marketing, there's marketing software as a service. There's marketing a product. There's marketing B2B or B2C. It's just, so it can branch out from there. And I'd like to have resources for all of them. Now, I'm not looking for a partner that's a real estate agent. That's not a easy conversation, right? So think of people that stand really close to you that make your business bigger and better, right?
And so what I want you to do is think of, what professionals do you need to add that will help your service be better? And also think about who comes ahead of you. So for example, I know I've got realtors on our call today, and I've got mortgage loan officers. Well, the challenge with that question of mortgage lender is, normally they get brought in after the realtor has already secured the deal. So it tends to be that one-way street, or resource relationship rather than referral relationship. Easy for me to say. So what you need to think about is, in that life cycle of the opportunity, who is upstream from the realtor? And then what the realtor needs to do is align with the recruiters in the market that are trying to attract and engage talent, or people as they're moving into a community, or perhaps people as they are getting a new job and they get a raise. And one of their goals is they wanted a better job in order to buy a bigger house, or they were starting a family. Recruiters would find that out. So recruiters are a natural alliance partner of realtors, because they're, again, upstream in the life cycle. And by the way, I have all of you folks on the call today, so I'm hopeful that you're plugging in your information into the questions, and that you are looking in all of those connections from our group for being able to make potential partnerships even out of today's conversation. Because there are so many things, we have a tendency to get stuck. And we think, okay, so if you're a mortgage loan officer, then that means that you need estate planning attorneys, financial advisors, and accountants. I mean, that's what we're all told if you are in a particular business, or if you're a financial advisor, it's you go to the attorneys and accountants. Well, you've just named some of the most introverted professions that are out there. And it's hard to get somebody to refer you if they have a hard time even selling their own services. They're going to have a harder time talking about someone else. And it's just one of those, it doesn't make as natural of a fit. So it's really important that you think about where are the places I haven't looked for partners. And I want you to turn over new rocks this year to identify what gold may be under that when you start mining in a new spot. Okay, so we're going to be diving in now. Oh, this is my favorite. All right, channel partnerships and reseller relationships. I want you thinking about who else needs your solution in order to do a better job serving their relationships. So when I'm thinking about this, for instance, our collaboration with the Women's Business Center, where Chris and I are at right now, is we are now thinking of how we are going to expand our webinar and be able to go to a broader audience. So we are right now identifying new relationships that can help us expand the message and reach more people that are the people that we feel called to serve right now based on everything that's happening in the world. So a channel partner could be an association that refers you. It could be access to a group of relationships. So I'm going to give a couple of examples right now of where I've had channel partnerships that have been very successful for me in the past. And there's actually a couple that I know Chris has had also. And actually, let me give Chris's first. So I made an introduction of Chris several years ago to a marketing agency that served veterinary practices. And Chris was able to not only serve them with their immediate project needs, but then he was a resource that could work with those individual practices that needed to improve their marketing. So instead of just getting access to one opportunity, he was exposed to hundreds of their clients and a lot of the other relationships that they came in contact with in the animal health space. So that's one example on the marketing side. On my side, one of my best relationships was actually with a group. It was an insurance carrier that served small independent financial advising groups and insurance offices that all had individual producers with goals and objectives for prospecting. And so this broker then, or not the broker, but the carrier then introduced me to, in 1 year, I met 250 different agencies that all fit the prospect profile of being my perfect prospect. So when you're thinking about channel partnerships, I want you thinking beyond one-to-one, and I want you thinking about one-to-many. So what is a relationship that could introduce you to a large group? So think about that for a minute. Do you have any of those relationships right now? So go ahead and chat in right now and let me know in the questions pane. Do you currently have channel partners that resell your services or introduce you to large groups of opportunities? And that's a yes or no. Chris, do you want to add anything to that also?
Actually, I'm sorry, I'm chatting with one of the attendees about her ICA, so I apologize. But just to go back earlier before I started typing this in, there's, like, I had a programmer get a hold of me for, it was a not-for-profit, a Down syndrome organization in Kansas City, and we ended up helping them with their marketing, and it exploded. It's not a vertical I would have chased, and it exploded to San Francisco, Indiana, I mean, Utah, all these different countries or organizations of the same type across the country, and it's not something I would have chased. So to Brendan's point is people outside of and other companies or that provide services that you need have contacts to, maybe some profitable industries that you never even thought of. So.
And that's the fun part, is when you think of these distribution channels, is identify the market that they're serving and what their relationship is and what their topics are. And then those are all questions that once they are answered with your solution, then those are great relationships for you to pursue. And when we talk about adding one channel, this is the kind of stuff I want you thinking about. I want you thinking about other avenues to serve larger groups, because there are just some absolutely phenomenal opportunities that are out there. All right, so now my other question that I have is on social media. So we know that social media use in 2020 has more than doubled. And I will share with you what I've discovered during a lot of this research that I've been doing this week and that Chris has been doing this week, is social channels are without exception replacing most of the other avenues of lead generation. So conferences and just networking events and your typical after hours and happy hours and things like that. All that information or all those avenues are being replaced with social media and with virtual events to promote your services via those social channels. So I want you thinking about how comprehensive is your social media strategy. And when I talk about social media strategy, it's not just I'm going to post stuff on LinkedIn. It's have you really thought about who your audience is and what the questions are that they're asking throughout the year, and created a quarter by quarter strategy of how you are going to engage them with a series of virtual events, with program offers or product offerings at various points to engage? And are there collaborations or relationships that you want to include with this, and avenues to reach other people's audiences? So those are all of the elements that are part of the overall strategy. Most of the time, a social media strategy involves you trying to find an article or something to share, a funny meme or a video to share in the morning, and for that day, that is hopefully going to make somebody smile and hit like or share. And unfortunately, it's a series of random tactics, often looking for a strategy, which is how one of our favorite referral partners calls it.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
So I do this a lot. I do this a lot for people, and it seems daunting, and it's really not. If you're a company and maybe you do a blog or something, which you should be doing, and then all you need to do is repurpose that content. In other words, somebody writes an article and you trim it down and make it an email, and then you trim it down even more and you post it on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and you know what I mean? And you're just repurposing content, and you want to be seen as the expert in your field. And so the more you do this, the more touches you get. And it went from, what was it, Brendan, 8 to 20 or something like that, to 8 to 50 kind of touches now. It's just, you have to get in front of people constantly. And this is a huge.
And you've got to get in front of people with great information. That's
Right.
the hard part.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be that hard. You can repurpose your own content. You can hire an intern, and you give them specific rules, no religious, no political, whatever you want to do. And this is the content that we need. And they're better at social media than an old guy like me is. And so you give them the content that you're repurposing, you pay them a minimal amount, and they, keep your social media presence updated.
Absolutely. So now this is the other element to when you're thinking about your prospecting strategy for 2021. It's making sure that these are the channels that you are thinking about. Now, in exploring these and thinking about how you can potentially expand and improve, I will tell you that our sponsor for this event, the Women's Business Center, has amazing resources available that I can't tell you enough good things about them. So I suggest that you go check out what a lot of the free resources are that are out there. They're doing some really good basic classes on the social media platforms, and Twitter 101 and Twitter 201 for business, and all kinds of different sessions that are out there that kind of do the tutorials on how to get some of these platforms and channels moving. I do want to challenge you with identifying one area that you will focus on for 2021 and thinking about how you are going to expand it. So let me just go back for a minute and think. Your best avenue for growth in 2021, is it going to be through creating those client referral rewards programs and avenues to get more word of mouth business? Is it going to be adding those referral partners, channel partners, that alternative distribution to your services, or through social media? So let's talk about what you see as the area you are going to focus on the most for 2021. Go ahead and chat that into us so we see what your area is that you're focusing on. And we'll hear from that. And then at the same time, if referral partners are one of those key areas that you want to focus on, so whether it is referral partners, whether it is that alternative distribution channels that can help you in your business, if you've identified that is important for you in 2021, Chris and I have an offering for you, and that's the Productive Prospecting. It's a series that's virtual, but we do also have opportunities to connect with other people who are part of the same community. So it gives you a chance to really connect and engage with people that are on the exact same journey you're on, and it's really fun to know that you are not alone on this journey.
Okay,
So
okay, hold on. I've taken this. This is a gem. This is from Brendan's brain, and she's saying all these little nicey things, and I'm going, no, this blew the top of my head off when I took this. She asked that question where people want to look into, and there's referral partner, adding referral partner channels, or I'm sorry, channel partners, all these people who wrote that in here. Write this down. Write this little link down here, this MailChimp link down at the bottom. Look into this class. This class changed how I did business. I always talk to Brendan as she has all these brilliant ideas, and all the content that comes out of her is like drinking from a fire hose. And this is kind of like it too, but it also, and the other side of that is I was like a dog on linoleum. There's a lot of action and I wasn't making any progress. And I got into this, and it not only saved me from spending money prospecting in the wrong places with the wrong people, it also improved my revenue by having me build relationships with businesses. And that whole three-legged stool thing, all that concept, I got from Brendan in this. So if all these people who are writing on here, referral partners, channel partners, and things like that, look into this. This changed how I did business. So I'm sorry I had to break in there because she's a little too nice about how she explains it. And
well, that's very kind of you. And Chris, would you do me a favor, and could you snag the link and share it in the chat?
I can.
So
that just a second, I have to open the PowerPoint.
I just tried doing that, and I advanced the slide instead. So thank you very much for the kind words. And it's funny because Chris was one of my relationships that actually helped me with creating the initial workbook for productive prospecting way back when. So he's gone through several iterations of it before, and now it was actually the 9 steps to productive prospecting class that he was referencing originally. He went through in 2000 and I don't know, 8, 2009, something like that. And we've since retired that and relaunched another one just based on how social media and the world has impacted prospecting. because there have been a number of changes in how people are engaging and finding leads and opportunities and converting those. So the other thing that we've got is if you want just a high level approach to thinking about your prospecting and capturing those referral relationships, in our Facebook group, the Prospecting Challenge group, that one we actually posted 4 days or 4 individual training videos that are anywhere from, I don't know, I think the shortest is 12 minutes and the longest is like 22 or 23 minutes. But it's a deep dive into creating those referral relationships. And I encourage you to go check it out, because whether you hire me to do anything, everything that I teach is based on what has worked. And just like you're hearing today about things that you can do for 2021, this is not us guessing. This is based on where we have seen revenue generated and business won in this past year during the craziest market I think anyone has ever experienced in their lifetime. And success really does leave clues. I cannot emphasize that enough as being the wisdom to follow in order to make the most of your marketing and sales effort in the coming year. Don't do this, don't try this at home, folks. It's a case of don't experiment and iterate with stuff that you're coming up with. Go and look at what has gotten results for other people, and then dive into that process. Once you understand whatever that approach is, and you identify the people that have been successful with it, have one-on-one conversations with them and re-engineer what that process is, and then hire a coach to help guide you through the process, or engage a marketing team. I will tell you, the biggest challenge that I'm seeing most people face is they're trying to go it alone. And to a point that was made for me by a prospect, their point is, well, I know I can figure this out on my own if I listen to enough podcasts and I sit in on enough free webinars, I can get there. But I'm probably going to get there years faster if I hire a coach to help me. And that's what I really encourage you to think about, is rather than trying to educate yourself about whatever it is that you want to accomplish in 21, get help. Have a catalyst that's going to help you navigate through that. And Chris and I are delighted to help where and how we can. And if there's a question that you have about marketing, so say for instance, you want to dive into SEO or building an e-commerce site, that's not what we do. But if you've identified that that's a revenue stream that you want to expand, reach out to us, because we are happy to connect you with an amazing resource that will help you and that has already approached us as, I want to serve small businesses. And we've probably done some pretty in-depth due diligence on them to understand that they really can do what they say they do. And then understand, you may be a small piece of business to them, but if we can send multiple small pieces of business to a relationship, then they want to make sure that they take really good care of you, because they want more referrals from us. And if they don't take great care of you, then that's a reflection on us. And so we take it pretty careful. We're very careful about who we introduce, because we want to make sure that whoever we refer makes us look good as well as themselves. So that's something that's just really important for you to think about. Okay, so Chris, if you would do me a favor and shut off the recording, and let's do some Q&A and deep dive into what everybody's focusing on right now.
So, okay, really quick though, let me mention that I don't know if you saw that and I chatted to you, is that somebody mentioned who's one of your clients that has taken productive prospecting, that it is updated to cover the COVID environment. So just so you'll know that, I think that's important. So I wanted the people out there who are watching this on YouTube right now, thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and hit the little notification button so you'll get more content like this. And thanks for showing up.